When I'm solo, I like my war bonnet hammock. But if I'm camping with the kids and the wife, or if we're bugging out, a bunch of us, then I need a tent. And I'll discuss some of the reasons why, and I'll show you how to set up the Hilleberg Nallo 3. What I have is a Nallo 3, and the Nallo 3 is designed for 3 people. So that will be my wife and me, and then our 2 little girls, because the 2 of them just make up 1. I'll show you how to set it up and how to take it down, and I'll explain to you why I think it's so impressive. Let's do a little site prep. I'm just going to throw some sticks away. Get them out of the way because I don't like to sleep on sticks. One of the advantages to a hammock is you don't have to prep the ground and you don't have to find a level place. But there are a lot of advantages to working with a tent. One of which is that you can get more than 1 person in it comfortably. If I was bugging out or camping and I stayed in my hammock and my wife stayed in her hammock and then we put the 2 little girls in a tent, nobody'd get any sleep. They'd be crying all night. So you have to adapt to your needs. If you're going solo, the hammock is a great way to go. If everybody's an adult and you don't mind spreading out and having a group hang, then hammocks are still a great way to go. It gives you a lot more versatility. This rock will come in handy in a few minutes. Grab the bag of stakes, put them in your pouch. Whenever I put this tent away, I put the pole bag in here with the entrance to the pole bag indicating where the entrance to the tent is. In this case, I want to enter the tent from this direction and have my feet downhill. So I'm going to turn it around this way. One thing you can do if there's several of you is split up the contents of the tent so you can divide the weight. So if you got 3 people going, you can have one of them carry the poles, one of them carry the footprint, and one of them carry the tent. So if you do that, if somebody else is carrying this bag of poles, then you'll have to have some other way to indicate the entrance to the tent. Just make up your own way. First thing I'm going to do is stake down the front corners. Check this out. I'm going to go out to a little bit of an angle. These stakes have a V cross section. And I'm going to put the vertex up at an angle. Why? So that this right here catches, so this notch catches on the ring. And I'm going to push it in at about a 45-degree angle. I had to shift a little bit to get around a rock, and I'll push it in the rest of the way. It's better to push with your hand than it is to step on it. It gives you more control and you're less likely to bend the stake. All right, see? Get in close and show them this, how the ring is right here on this notch. That's important because later I'm going to tighten this and it'll hold right there on that notch. Okay, next one. Don't be real dramatic with the angle. Just, and then you might have to adjust after you put in the poles. Go in about a 45-degree angle. There's a rock. It's a rocky area. That might be a little steep, the angle, but it's that way because of rock. This could actually pull down into the ground. We'll see. I might have to adjust that. Just going to pull it a little tight, snug. Get an idea of which way I'm going to go out with this. So you see, it is pretty well sloped here. This is more of a slope than I like, but it'll work. And for the purposes of demonstrating how to set up this tent, it'll definitely work. Like a lot of things, ripstop nylon comes in different qualities. You know, you can call anything a loaf of bread, but some breads are better than others. So this is ripstop nylon, but this is the best ripstop that I've seen. As far as how hard it is to pull apart, when you buy the tent, Hilleberg also sends you a catalog. The catalog comes with a sample of different types of ripstop nylon, and it's already got a cut in it, and then you're supposed to grab it and try to pull it. It's really tough. They've got top quality stuff. If you're ultralight camping, then this model is probably not the one you want, because Hilleberg makes lighter models of tent, including the footprint. If I recall, it's 6 pounds. I'll correct it later if that's not right, but it's around 6 pounds, I think, with the footprint, which is just the pad that goes underneath the tent to help protect the bottom of it. You can divide that out amongst a number of carriers, whoever is going to be sleeping in the tent with you. If you got 3 people, then divide it 3 ways. I'm a big fan of going light, but there is such a thing as becoming obsessed with lightness at the expense of some other features, and I really think that that it's a fallacy to focus exclusively on how light an item is when you pack it with you. For instance, wool is pretty heavy and bulky, and down, for instance, is a lot lighter for the same warming power as wool. But wool has a number of advantages that I've discussed elsewhere on my blog. I'll just touch on them here briefly. With wool, it doesn't really compress. So if you lay down a wool blanket under you, it'll do a lot better job of keeping you warm, like protect you from the cold ground, than a down sleeping bag will. Down is very light and will fluff up and keep you very warm, but it depends on that loft to keep you warm. So when you lie down on it, it compresses under you and has no warming power at all. And so it doesn't keep you warm, it doesn't protect you from the ground cold at all like wool does. So it is lighter and it is warmer under certain circumstances. Being light is not everything there is to it. The same thing is true with tents. There is such a thing as having too light a tent that won't do the job. It might tear apart in high winds. It's not as rugged, so it won't take as much abuse out in the field. You got to be more careful with it. It's more delicate. Hilleberg tents are expensive, but you're getting an excellent value because you're getting what you pay for. Sometimes you pay too much for something and you're not really getting a value. That's not the case with Hilleberg tents. The quality of the materials and the build and the design are superior. They're way up there, top shelf. I'm gonna put these poles in now. There's 2 poles with a spare pole and a repair sleeve and instructions for repairing it that's taped on. I'm not gonna unfurl that. Have you ever bought something and got instructions that are indecipherable? You can't understand anything they're saying. Okay, either the translation in the English was horrible and makes no sense, or the illustrations are useless. Okay, not so with Hilleberg. Oh, I've been calling it Hilleberg. Hilleberg sends you a booklet that has very clear photographs of every step, plus the steps themselves described in, let's see, 1, 2, 3 languages: Swedish, English, and German. I guess if you need Spanish, you're out of luck. Now, as you look at these poles, I know what you're wondering. What's with the red tag? Well, that's easy. The red tag goes in the sleeve that's indicated with a red tag. Okay? So those poles will go there, and these poles will go there. Extend these poles carefully. Like, don't fling them out. I know it's fun, but it's not good for your poles. You see the curve? That curve is normal. These are pre-curved for you. When you insert the poles, don't pull the poles, pull the fabric. Push the pole. And it should go all the way to the bottom in that sleeve, that reinforced sleeve on the other side. And then pull the fabric over the entire thing. Push the pole, pull the fabric. Put the end inside this cap. Leave this loose for the time being. This pole does not have the red tag, so it goes in the sleeve that doesn't have the red tag. Get to the bottom, put the end in the cap. Now get a couple of stakes ready, because you're going to stake out the rear corners. Okay, here you go. Here's the corner. I'm going to pull these 2 rings right here. Pull them out. Okay? I'm going to stake this out. I'm going to pull this kind of taut. Not terribly, you know. We're not gonna get crazy here, but I am gonna pull it somewhat tight and push it in. I have some adjustment I can do later because I can pull this tight. Actually, I'm gonna loosen this. Give me the most ability to adjust it. Push this in at about a 45-degree angle. I need my rock, but I have a stick, so I'll use that. Okay. Remember to loosen these straps for maximum adjustment later. Pull it good and snug. Doesn't have to be ridiculously tight. There you go. Pull it snug. Push it in. Nice thing about a Jack Russell Terrier, he's constantly going around checking things out. So if there's anything in the area, he'll find it for you. Everything's looking pretty good. I'll just adjust the little overhang here, which is just a flexible wire inside so you can adjust it. What that does, allows you to open up in here a little bit for ventilation and still have protection from the rain. This pole makes a straight line out that way, then go out at an angle towards the front of the tent to tie that down. Not much, probably a 30-degree angle. Same thing at the rear. Don't pull it tight here. You're gonna adjust it in a few minutes. Just wanna get it snug, extend it all the way. Okay, here's a trick. You wanna make sure this stays on. After you've done this, okay, push this under like this, and then twist it and make this notch here, and that's a clove hitch. So again, in case you didn't catch that, all right, grab the one underneath, twist it so you have a loop, and pull the loop over. I'm just gonna check everything now and make sure that everything looks somewhat symmetrical. Okay, so I've set this up before and this thing was twisted. So like this was more forward than that side and it was kind of canted off to one side. So now's the time to make those adjustments before you tighten everything down. Right now this is looking pretty good. So I'm gonna go around and just kind of tighten things up a little bit. Okay, here we go, tightening. Don't go crazy tightening, just make everything good and snug. If you tighten so much that it flattens the poles, then that's too much. And it will actually weaken the structure of the tent because the strength of this thing is in the arch. Tighten here. Just making everything good and snug. Yeah, see? This pulled up because when I stuck it in the ground, there was a rock under there and it prevented it from going in deep and it actually went in too shallow. So this doesn't work. I've got to move this. What I'm going to do is stick it in the ground a little closer and then use this adjustment to tighten it and hope that's enough. There we go. Okay. It doesn't get any better than that, so we're in good shape here. By the way, I appreciate all the help I can get, so if you guys know a better way to do this, or if you see me doing something wrong and know a better way to adjust or set up or whatever, then let me know. because I'm constantly wanting to learn. So, although I would appreciate it if you'd send me an email instead of leaving a comment on the blog and make me look like a fool. Okay, I don't need any help with that. I can do that fine on my own, looking like a fool. So send me an email. No, I'm kidding. Leave a comment, okay? Because we got to help everybody. I was just kidding. Leave a comment. Tighten that up. This is looking pretty tight. I don't know if I pull this much. Yeah, that's good. It's kind of smoothing out up there. Okay, I'm liking this. It's looking pretty tight. This is a double-walled tent. And this outside material, this whipstop, is Hilleberg's own Kurlan 1200, I believe it is. Kurlan. And then they have different weights, 1200, 1400, 1600. I think the Nallo has the 1200 on the outside. At the front door, you've got these 3 zippers. I've got another zipper up there. I can do this right here. I can do that, and then even if we have a rain, even if, you know, as long as it's not a horizontally driving rain, then I can have ventilation even when it's raining, because this will protect the vestibule from the rain. Now, I can also close this back this way and then grab this one. Check this out. Come over here like this. This ring will fit on this toggle and hold here if you want it to, like so. But you can also take it off and then roll this up and close it off right here with this toggle. Now, this is the footprint. So if you just buy the tent without the footprint, this is going to be bare ground inside the vestibule. If you buy the footprint, then you've got this material on the ground inside the vestibule and under the entire tent. First thing I want you to notice is this inner tent is this golden color. This is an excellent example of the amount of thought and detail that Hilleberg goes into for the design of their product. This is actually not, you know, insignificant. If you're on an expedition or a hiking or camping trip or something and you're stuck in there for an entire day because of rain or, you know, horrendous weather, blizzard, whatever the situation is, and you're in there in some dark, dank, blue tent, you're gonna feel blue all day. This is gonna look entirely different when we go inside. You're gonna love it. Notice the tub type construction. Okay, so this helps keep the water out. It's not gonna run in, all right? It's like a bathtub. Take off my boots. Well, if you're crowded in here, you can leave your backpack in the vestibule, but if you're not crowded, you can bring it in here and use it for, you know, a pillow or backrest. And while we're talking about getting comfortable, here is a wool poncho made from a wool blanket. So you can still use it as a blanket, or in this case, you can use it as a bed pad. Now, I know that this is not as thick as a sleeping pad. And if you have a sleeping pad, then it might do a better job for you. But if all you have is this wool poncho or a U.S. Army blanket, put it under you. It's gonna make a big difference in isolating you from the cold of the ground. I know that it doesn't have much of an R value, but there is something else going on besides merely R value as far as conducting heat from your body into the cold ground. And a wool blanket makes an enormous difference. Not just a little bit, but a very significant difference. So use that. It's very nice. All right, here's the vent on the interior. It zips up like this on both sides, see? And then roll it down. If you got a lot of people in here, if it's humid, then this will get some condensation. This front door also has a no-seam mesh on the entire front panel. All the way around the tent, you've got about an inch or so between the built-in fly and the ground, and that gives you some ventilation. Hilleberg will also sell you an entire inner mesh tent made out of no-seam mesh, so that you don't have any of this non-breathing material or minimally breathing material, and instead you have an entire inner tent made from this stuff. The rain fly is built in. It's completely integrated with the tent, so that while you're setting up the tent, you're actually setting it up with the fly on. And what that means is that if you're setting up in a rain, the inner tent's not going to get wet. And that's a really big deal to me because I don't like getting into a wet tent, and I don't want to have to wait until the rain stops to pitch my tent. So I have here a tent with a built-in fly that I can set up in the rain and keep all the inside of it dry. Today is about, the ambient temperature is probably right around freezing, maybe 32, 33 degrees, like 0, 1 degree centigrade. And inside the tent, even with this front door open, I'm estimating it's probably, with me and the dog and the cameraman, it feels more like, 40, even possibly 45 in here. I'm very comfortable. The bottom is this waterproof fabric. I don't know about like soggy ground where there's actually standing water. I wouldn't want to pitch the tent there. If you guys know anything about that, have any experience with it, let me know. You can tighten up this ridge line to help keep the inside from sagging and also to hang your socks, right? Ventilate your socks a little bit. If you've got any wet gloves or hat or anything, you can put them there. It's got a pouch here and on the other side at the front where you can put your flashlight and your handgun and that kind of thing. When you close the front entrance to the vestibule, you can leave the front door of the tent open and have, all this extra room and yet have the privacy. We talked about ventilation. Here's the no-seam mesh at the front door. Okay. Fold that up right here. Wow. Just closing off that front. Seriously. It's warming up in here. So I've got the vent open at the back and the front, and I'm in here with the cameraman, 2 small dogs, and my boreal shirt. And honestly, I'm a little too warm. I think if I settle down and just lie still for a while, I'll cool off. But it's plenty warm in here. It's pretty comfortable. When I'm getting ready to stow the tent, I'm gonna close these panels and I'm gonna leave it open at the bottom. See how I've got it open? That just makes it easier to get the air out when I roll it up. Leave it open right here. Here's that vent I was talking about at the back. Zip it up, pull this over, roll it under, like this. If you roll it over this way, what's gonna happen when it rains? You're gonna get water gathering in there, and then if it freezes, it's gonna fill up with ice and it's just a pain. So roll it this way, and then close it off with this toggle under here. Right there. I'm gonna go around loosening everything and basically work in reverse order to put this up. All right, and then just let it loose, see? Count your stakes. Know how many stakes you laid out and how many you're supposed to pick up. Before you put these up, get the mud off of them. Pull this out of the cap. Go to the other side. Push the pole and pull the fabric. There you go. There's one. If it's windy when you're stowing the tent, tie it to your backpack or a tree. Any kind of an anchor. Keep it from blowing away. Okay, spread this back out. This is all part of putting the tent back in the bag. And then this over. Huh. Where is this going? Put this over here. And this over here. About like that. Like this. Okay. Put this right here. Indicating entrance to the tent, indicated by the entrance to the pole bag. Roll this up. Roll it up slow, give it time to let the air out. Grab this bunch, and it'll stuff the rest of the way into this bag. I hold it between my legs to get this started, and basically I'm just stuffing it. Here's another very cool design point. This bag is actually a little large, so your tent doesn't stuff extremely tight into the bag. You think that takes up a little extra room. It really doesn't. What I mean is, I can stuff this big thing in the backpack now, and then put other things in the backpack, and it will smush this into whatever shape it needs to go in order to hold everything I'm putting in there. It's good design. Hilleberg has left nothing to accident in the design and build of this tent. As I've said before, I really dig stuff that's well made, well designed, because I really appreciate the craftsmanship that has gone into the design and manufacture of this tent. I appreciate the creativity and the ingenuity that people have when they're building something that's really good. Hey, this is cool. I am building a bug out shelter, and I'm going to show you various steps of the build. I've already got plenty of footage shot, and I'm editing it. And I'm going to show you some videos about where I'm building this bug out shelter and how we're doing it. And it's going to be really interesting. So we'll be tracking that over the next several weeks or months. It's a real bug out shelter. It's just not in my real bug out location. I can't show people that on YouTube, you know. From the site selection to the build itself and the design of the shelter, all of that's going to be relevant when you go about building your own. Okay? So, hey. Snowman here, thanks for watching. Go to the blog, I'll have a lot more information about this tent and all kinds of other stuff that you need to know for prepping for emergencies. I'll see you around.